Welcome to Talk with Tara, the podcast where we dive into the bold, the funny, and the fascinating. I'm Tara, your host, bringing you unfiltered conversation on life, love, and everything in between. Hit that follow button so you're always in the loop. And now let's get started. Today, I'm very excited to announce I have Kay LaFleur-Anders on with me. Welcome, Kay.
Hey, Tara. Thank you.
So nice to have you. So before we get into it and I tell you all about Kay, let me read a quick bio. Kay LaFleur-Anders is a visionary entrepreneur and creative wellness coach who is passionate about promoting creativity and well-being using a holistic writing for wellness approach. As the CEO and founder of Chestnut Publishing House and Coffee Milk Media, she's built a multimedia platform that creates space for new voices and creative ideas to engage readers and audiences. Kay extends her impact through her podcast, Reset with Kay, where she encourages others to implement reflective and mindful practices into their personal and professional lives. As a speaker and panelist and workshop facilitator, Kay emphasizes that true success is achieved not just by what we do, but by prioritizing our well-being as the foundation of our accomplishments. I love that. Kay serves on the Community Advisory Board at the Austin PBS and the Editorial Advisory Committee for the Independent Book Publishers Association. She has won various awards recognizing her creativity, innovation, professional excellence, and commitment to the community. Yay, I'm so excited to have you. Kay, can you tell us some of your defining moments? I know that you like to create a holistic writing experience for your clients, and I'd love to get into that as well.
Okay. Yeah, for publishing specifically, I've always been a writer, but it took me some years to get back to it. I became a mom, a wife.
Yeah, me too.
And raising a family, right? And so I had kind of not necessarily lost my passion for writing, but I think that I forgot about it, to be honest. I just took a stab for it when we moved to Austin. We're from Louisiana. When we moved to Austin and went for this blog, applied to become a writer, became a writer, and then it's like I fell back in love with writing, honestly.
Well, you were always a writer. You never lost it.
Exactly. And that opportunity to really express, because I'm a talker too, but sometimes I don't feel like talking, so I write. And so however I'm feeling, I'll write it. So in the midst of that, I was invited to participate as a writer in an anthology by a really good friend of mine, one of my best friends. And that did it for me. Like, the publisher was absolutely amazing. She took care of everyone delicately and really respected the craft of writing and the creative process. And I do too. And so I had a conversation with her and said, I might want to take a stab at this. And she was like, go for it. Like, I'll support you. And that's how Chestnut came into play. And then as I was publishing, I love publishing books, love printed books, but I'm more of a digital girl, honestly. And I'm a storyteller through and through, but I love movies. I love documentaries. I love audiobooks because you can listen to them while you're on the go. And I love podcasts. And so I created Coffee Milk Media to be able to publish those things. Yes, help clients, but more so create them and publish them in-house. And so it took some time to kind of get through that transition, but we're here now.
Can you tell me some of the media and books you've published? And what's your favorite
so
genre?
I have a client. Well, to be honest with you, I started off, I'm only going to publish nonfiction, no fiction, and no children's books, right? Because I didn't have an illustrator. And so I published some nonfictions. There's a woman that's from my hometown. Her name is Linda Fontenot. She lives in Louisiana, and she published a business book. And the title is escaping me right now, but that was nonfiction. And then slowly but surely, the children's books came. So in total, I've published 7 nonfictions and 3 anthologies. But then with children's books, I was like, I don't want to publish children's books, but they just kept coming. And
like coming to you?
Yeah, they were coming to me because I didn't realize. I thought that the majority of the people that I was working with or just knew that wrote a book was going to write it based on their businesses, because I work with women in business. So I always heard about that. Right. But I just didn't realize how many people wanted to publish a children's book.
Wow.
And they were all connected to something that these authors have experienced themselves. But a lot of those books really reach the audiences of those children who have learning differences. And my daughter has a learning difference. Like, she had a speech delay. And so I just fell in love with the children's book process because of the authors I was working with.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, wow. Okay. Tell us about how you work with clients to bring out their creativity, both male and female.
Yeah, so that actually happened because that was actually going on before publishing. So once I started writing for this blog, I think around COVID, I was like, you know what? I need to do something, get a certification in something. I was eager to learn. So I just
Mm-hmm.
needed to learn something because there wasn't much to do, right? And so I was trying to get into something. And I was always big on investing in your well-being, but I wanted to see how I can tie that into writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a wellness certification and started doing all the things. It was more so events when we could get back together. I'm like, you know what? I love journaling. It really carried me through the time of COVID because, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it got a little lonely sometimes because you're used to being with friends, sporting events. And so my family and I, we spent a lot of time together and love each other, but I was missing my me time. And so I started
Right.
really writing and journaling. And then after that, I got on webinars. I started doing virtual speaking conferences and really teaching about journaling or expressive writing and how it helps you release what you feel,
Can you
emotional
talk
weight.
about that? Yeah. Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
talk about that?
So there's the emotional weight of it all, which working with women primarily, a lot of times in business, we get stuck in the area of relationships, not always
Mm-hmm.
romantic, sometimes friendships, very often friendships.
Right.
And then also like emotional weights that we've been carrying, like either we're grieving or our feelings have been hurt and we've been bottling that up. And so what I have noticed when you own a business, right, because I've experienced it too, if you don't take care of yourself and if you're not well, it's hard for you to actually do well, right?
Right.
Because now you're snapping at a client and what's actually happening has nothing to do with them. But
Right.
you're so busy and on this grind that you haven't given yourself permission to slow down. So I talk a lot
Mm-hmm.
about slowing down and breathing
Mm-hmm.
to actually be like, okay, I need to take a moment. Okay, I know there's a meeting in 30 minutes, but I can't take that right now, especially if it's something you don't have to join. And
Right.
just, I need a minute and just sit literally. It sounds very silly, but sit in silence. Like put your phone on, do not disturb, turn your notifications off, close your laptop, and just sit there and breathe.
That's such a good takeaway
Yeah,
because
and
I
then you
am
can share
always
it in
on the
writing.
go. Yeah. I mean, I am so high energy and I'm always on the go. Oh, what am I doing now? And I think just to sit in stillness and get off the phone and take a moment and just breathe, like even a 2-minute meditation can
Yeah.
reset you and ground you.
And go outside. Like, I mean, it's hard to see it now, but when we were kids, we were outside.
Yeah.
Like, outside is good. You know, that's where you can get creative. Your imagination can flow. Being in that sun is great for your body and your mind,
Hmm.
your mood. And so we
Right.
spend so much time inside. And so I even encourage people to purposely, like, work outside. Go on the
Oh,
patio, you know, go by the pool or something. Yes, go and relax, but there's something called active rest, right? Where you can be productive. You just don't have to be busy doing it. Like you can still
right.
do it at a slow pace, which actually helps you be more productive because you're not trying to be the jack of all trades. You're actually focusing, you're getting some sun, you're stacked, right? It's all of those things are taking care of you at the same time.
So somebody like me who's really impatient, I just have to really work, and a lot of people are impatient of just forcing myself, right, to just slow down, even when I
Yeah.
don't want to. Okay,
It's a
that's a good
lesson
tip.
and it's better to choose to slow down than for your body to choose for you.
That's a good point. Okay, I love that. Let's talk about when we met offline, we were talking about journaling in the morning versus other times in the day. Tell me about the best time to journal. And I was telling you offline that I was scared that people would find my journal. So, how do I get over that fear?
Well, I'll tell you, I think that when you journal really depends on you. I
Hmm.
have this, I guess it's a lesson, I guess I can say I've been teaching for the longest time about finding your well being formula
Hmm.
because what works for you works for you. It's like having our
Okay.
own fingerprints, right? It is a part of your identity. So I write in the morning, but someone else may be super creative or just heightened at night.
Hmm.
And so they you know they're more of a night owl, so they stay up, and that might be. So I would say like whenever it's that moment where things are still for you and you can actually think
Hmm.
is the best time for you to write. Because for me, that's in the morning where everything's quiet. My kids are still sleeping. My husband's still sleeping, maybe, but he's not very noisy. So I can really take some time and do what I need to do. And you know what? That journal might actually become a book. So
Hmm.
you don't want to hide
Yes.
it too much, right? Because if I think that we should, even the things that we're not so proud of, or things that were like, wish that wouldn't have happened. It's just a part of your story. And
Right.
somewhere in our life experiences, those things have made us who we are right now. And so we have to, even the not so good things, there's always something to look at that and go, yeah, but you know what? I'm pretty resilient, because
Right.
that could have actually broke me. And so your story is nothing to be ashamed of, even though there are those things that we want to keep private. I just always encourage others to not allow the pieces of your story that you're like, that's a part that helped you too in some way. Like you learned something from that if you think about it. Maybe it made you more kind to other people. But we can all use those nuggets from our stories.
What do you do if you are a creative person or you're not that creative, but you feel blocked because maybe somebody who's not that creative wants to open up their creativity, or they find they're using like their very left brain, and by opening up the right brain, they're creating new things. What do you recommend for someone who's blocked?
Well, the first thing I want to do is go to writing, but that's what I go to, right? But it could be working out. If if your body needs more movement, which all of our bodies need movement, but that may be your go-to, whatever that thing is that helps you to release. For me, it's writing. Because reflective writing specifically. So let me say that. So my friends like to tease me and say I'm a walking journal prompt, because I ask questions that make you then ask questions, right? And so we can't be afraid to go a little bit deeper to see why we feel certain ways and certain things. And sometimes in that writing session, we find our block. Oh, that's why I can't do X, Y, Z, because I'm holding a grudge. I'm not forgiving. I'm like those type of things. And nothing that I say, even on Reset with Kay, or anything that I write is necessarily new. It's all things that we need to be reminded of, because life requires that we keep it moving. Like somebody passes away, you keep it moving, right? You gotta go to work 2-3 days after the funeral. You got to get to it. Doesn't matter if it was your mom or whoever, you have to keep it moving. But that's why it's so important, whether you're writing or whatever you're doing, to release those things, that you find something. Because to be honest, we do have to keep it moving, but we do need to slow down and tend to whatever it is we're feeling and going through too.
A lot of people want to be writers, and then they write because they want to be published. And I've been told, don't write because you want to get published, write because you want to write, and your voice is unique. So let's say there's all these new mediums like Substack, and you called it, there's a new word for it. It's not self-publishing. What did you say the new word?
Author publishing.
Author publishing. And there's some really famous people who have self-published and been discovered on Substack. And I just want to know, what are your thoughts on author publishing? And if you are writing something and you want to get it out there.
I love author publishing. And when I first started talking about that, my publisher friends were like, why are you promoting, at the time, self-publishing? Right? I promote it because, yes, it would be wonderful if someone wants me to publish their book as a publisher and it aligns and the topics and all the things, the genre, then yeah, I'll consider that. But I always go back to them about self-publishing. There are those who just want you to take care of everything. I get that. They don't have the time, nor are they interested in learning the steps, and that's okay. But I promote author publishing because you have free creative range to do what you want to do with your book, with your story, with your expertise, whatever it is you want to share. Is it smart to outsource professionals who know what they're doing to help you publish a quality book? Absolutely. I always think that you should hire an editor, you should hire a graphic designer, that you have a good quality book, because even though we shouldn't judge a book by its covers, we do, right?
Right.
And so you should get the people in place, which is not difficult to find these days, to get professionals to help you put it together. But as far as publishing it, there's a question of rights, there's a question of royalties, there's a question, money. Basically, whether you're interested in making a whole lot of money from it or not. But the creative process is what I love. There's no one to tell you that what you're publishing is wrong, or there's not an audience for that. There's an audience for every single thing, everything. So
right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So when you work with your clients, they call you, and what is the ask? Tell me about the coaching aspect or the wellness part.
A lot of times, it's interesting because it'll be 9 times out of 10, it's a woman in business. and she comes some kind of creativity, either marketing wise or strategy wise, that she's looking for me to help her with. Whether it's a book or it's just creative strategy. Hey, I don't really know what to do in this area. Can we get some consulting time in and we can kind of talk through it? So I'm a sounding board.
Okay.
And you can bounce things off of me, right? But most times, though, that's when they discover that the issues that they're having has nothing to do with whether or not they're business savvy or know what they're doing in marketing or whatever. Even if there are things that they can learn, it's most times internal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of times what I said earlier: social well-being, emotional well-being, mental, physical. There's blocks somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we work through the blocks, find it easier for us to get into the creativity part. And that's why I call it creative wellness.
Okay. I like that. Okay. So as a woman entrepreneur in publishing and media, what are some big leadership lessons that you've learned?
You know, I've learned this, but also it is something that I didn't realize until I started working with a team that I always believed this, but it felt so good. Allow everyone to be themselves. Like, it is so boring when companies are all doing the same thing. What creates I know diversity is a bad word right now, but I am talking about it in the sense of creativity.
Well, it's a bad word just because, like, certain people, I mean, it's not a bad word.
No, it's not a bad word.
Diversity is amazing, and it's what
it is.
It's what makes us all, it's what makes America, America.
Exactly. It's like people
Right?
hear it and they go crazy about it, but it's actually a beautiful thing.
It is.
The fact that, and so I speak to the creativity and with the team, right, as a leader, but just period across the board. Why would we want to just be doing the same things over and over? Why wouldn't you want people with different life experiences and perspectives to come in and be able to just contribute to the culture of your business, contribute to the culture of this world, period?
Mm-hmm.
It would be so bland without each other. And
Exactly.
So one of the things that I love about being a leader and leading a team, even in publishing or what we do at Coffee Milk Media, is that I get to work with women from all walks of life. I'm talking age, race, ethnicity, religion, all the things, because I get to hear these different perspectives of things that happen. I live in Texas, but I love working with women that are from different places because people are doing things differently, different places. And if we're getting together and we're sharing those ideas and you're allowing your team to have ownership in what they do. So I can come to the conversation and say, here's what I would love to do. But then someone says, hey, I'll own that piece because I'm actually good in this. And when I was working at here, this is what we did. Like, I love that because that's creative inclusivity and diversity, and it's beautiful. And it's more of a collaboration thing than it is like me just telling people what to do.
Exactly. I think that's your next book. I think you should do an anthology with women of all different ages, races, backgrounds, telling a unique story.
That's good, Tara.
Yeah, I think I just found your new book.
Yeah, you did. You solved the mystery.
Yeah, because I really think that would be interesting, especially now, like just against this whole movement that, I mean, DEI is so important because I've seen the creativity, what it can do, different perspectives. And I don't know, we're a melting pot, and that's what makes us unique in this country and creative, you know? So, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, when you talk about self-care and wellness, what are some rituals that you swear by that you could give as takeaways to our listeners?
I think one of the things that I have to absolutely do is wake up before everybody else.
Okay.
Like, I have to.
I've heard that before from others.
Yeah. It's like it's probably going to be the most quiet time that I have of the day. Mm-hmm. And even if I'm at home alone and nobody's here, my phone is ringing. There's emails that I have to answer. But early in the morning, and in addition to that, what I'm saying, early in the morning is the best time. The best thing for me to do is to wake up before everybody else. But also, what has proven to be amazing for me, I don't check my text messages or my emails before 10 o'clock. My phone is on Do Not Disturb until 11. And even if there's something super important that I'm doing, a project that I've been working on the night before, I do not check my emails when I get on my laptop in the morning. If I have to finish something.
What do you do in that time?
I am journaling. I'm doing something that invests in me. Because once you start checking your email, that's all about whoever just emailed you, right? And
Right.
that's awesome. But if you don't start off your day by pouring into yourself, then what do you actually have for other people? Especially if you haven't rested the night before, which rest is
Right.
a big thing I'm on right now. We should be resting
Mm-hmm.
and making rest a priority and non-negotiable that we're going to
Okay.
rest. But that morning time is for me. And so that's something I need that in the morning.
Yeah, okay, that's a really good tip. I also liked your tip earlier where you said if you don't need to be in that meeting, don't be in that meeting. Learn to say no to things that are just going to waste your time.
Yeah, because last
I
year
like that.
I was in, oh my gosh, I was accepting every meeting, can we connect? Can we get coffee? Things were moving so fast for me last year in business that I think I was super excited about it, but at the same time I was grieving because we had lost our dog in April.
Oh, I'm
And I
sorry.
didn't really have, thank you, I didn't really have a chance to kind of slow down and process that. And
Mm-hmm.
as a family, we were heartbroken. I mean,
Yeah,
we still are.
yeah.
But I didn't have a time to really process that. So I've learned my lesson from that. Like, now I look at my calendar and I'm like, okay, nope, I don't have to accept that. And I will email people and say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, I don't have the capacity. And another tip is it's okay to put it in your automatic replies on your email too. I've gotten a lot of feedback about mine. I just recently turned it
I like
off.
that.
But I will say, mine says that on Mondays and Wednesdays, this is what I'm doing. I do not check my emails at such and such. And why? Because I'm conserving my energy
Uh-huh.
to be able to be creative, spend time with my family, and take care of myself. Because I want to treat my clients well, but I have to be honest about the fact that I need to take care of me in order to take care of you. And
Right.
that took some major burnout to get to that place.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's a good tip as well. Yeah, you just carve
Thank
out that
you.
time for yourself. You said that you like different mediums, storytelling, documentaries, film. And speaking of that, you're involved in a documentary called Show Her the Money about women who get less than 2% VC funding. This is so interesting to me. Can you tell me about this documentary and how you got involved with it?
Yeah, so I had a client that actually I published her book and she is a CPA in California. And so that's her world, right? Finances. And she just said, Kay, have you heard of, Show Her the Money? She had just come back from one of the screenings there in Cali. And so I was like, no, I've never heard of that. But the reason why she asked me, not just because the subject matter, a few months prior to that, my team and I put on this movie screening of The Right to Read, which is executive produced by LeVar Burton. And so
Oh,
I
okay.
fell in love with that whole like show the movie, have a panel discussion, get the community involved. And so when I found out that Show Her the Money was just like that, I was like, I'm game. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
not just that it's a movie, right? But it's about what it's about too. Because Right to
Mm-hmm.
Read was about literacy crisis in the US. And this is about the fact that women are not receiving enough money to fund their businesses. And
Right.
so that's what that's about. And I look forward to it because it's April 19th and here in Round Rock at a nonprofit theater called Penfold, which I love
Mm-hmm.
because that's in the community, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we are bringing together financial professionals and, bankers, CPAs, VCs to put them in the building with women entrepreneurs and founders who, if they just had a seed, would be able to grow their businesses. But we need to be able to raise awareness about the fact that we're not getting what we need.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, I love this. How do we find out more about this movie?
So it's going to be on Penfold Theater's website. It's not there
Mm-hmm.
yet because we're still
Okay.
working out everything. But in the meantime, if you can follow me on LinkedIn or Coffee Milk Media on LinkedIn, it's going to be there. I'll be making
Okay.
announcements about it there.
Okay. And as we wrap up, can you tell us, give some advice? I know we already talked about this, but like women who are struggling between ambition, self-care, you have your own business, so you're able to take that chunk of time for yourself. But if you're working for corporate America and you're on a schedule or you have a tough boss, what are some advice that you can give corporate America women who don't have that luxury that you may have?
Yeah, well, that's easy for me to tap back into because I just got out of corporate America 2 years ago. So
Okay.
it's fresh on my brain.
Uh-huh.
I know what I used to do is, and it took years for me to get to this, but on my breaks, instead of, let me say this, if you need to be around people when you're highly stressed, because some people do, they need someone to talk to and it's, it helps keep them well, then by all means go to the break room, have the conversations with your friends or coworkers and laugh it up. But for me, when I was stressed out, I used to go to my car. and sit in the car. And whether you listen to music or you're quiet or you get on the phone with a friend who's going to make you laugh, take a break. When they say take a break, take a break. It took me years to take a break. When I was working in office and from home, it took me years to really honor the break. If you have a 15-minute break, take it.
Right.
So anytime you have one, and also I think my last tip would be when you're on your way home, if you had a terrible day, you could really use a do-over. Before you go into your house, sit in the car. Take a breather.
Right.
Allow yourself to process everything. Maybe not talk to anyone if that's not what you need in the moment. But breaks are so important. We work really hard to take long vacations, but we neglect breaks.
Yeah.
If you're taking breaks in between, if you're taking a day here, like a day off here, whatever, you don't have to wait for a 7-day vacation because you need the breaks right now. So we have to be able to honor what we need in the moment.
Okay, that's good. I like that. Kay, how do people get a hold of you? Can you just go through some ways? I know you mentioned LinkedIn, Kay LaFleur-Anders on LinkedIn, but can you mention your Substack website?
Yeah, so Substack is resetwithkay.substack.com, and I just recently moved there. I had my website for my blog, and I was like, you know what? Nope, I'm going to go over to where the writers are. So I'm on Substack now. And then on Instagram, it's still Kay LaFleur-Anders. That's KLAFLEUR Anders.
Okay, good. Well, that's so great. Thank you so much. This has been really wonderful. It's been great talking to you today.
Same. Thank you, Tara.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to Talk with Tara. If you love today's episode, please follow the show and share it with a friend. Stay tuned. There's so much more to talk about. See you next time.